videos just for this.
Of course. Hey everyone,
Hey, everyone.
welcome to Why Are You Still Here, the show where we talk about whatever we feel like. And today, Lucas, why are we still here?
We're talking about Abigail. The new horror action comedy
Yes.
involving
So this,
a kidnapped vampire child.
yes. According to IMDb, the synopsis of this movie is after a group of criminals kidnap the ballerina daughter of a powerful underworld figure. They retreat to an isolated mansion, unaware that they're locked inside with no normal girl.
So that is a pretty accurate statement to the movie.
I
However,
never
I
drink.
think, oh God,
Why?
No, I've had them for like a year or more, and I've had no use for them, and I don't have the proper way to hold them into my mouth either. So, you
very
know,
good,
I was like, they finally came in handy.
as
Finally,
everything does at some point.
yes.
So it's a pretty good
But
synopsis of the movie. I think if they got rid of
it,
the term underworld, okay, limit what you know about
sure,
Abigail, remove some of the vampiric references, keep
I don't think
this a little
Underworld's a
under wraps.
problem because you can call the criminal like the criminal underworld.
Okay, like the seedy underbelly.
Sure, but the criminal underworld,
Okay.
like that's a thing. Like you'd be like, oh, Al Capone was part of the criminal underworld. Like that doesn't send up any red flags. Saying that this is no normal little girl, that sends up a red flag, and saying they got locked in the house, that's something else as well. But whatever. I was starting this movie, right? The Universal logo came up, and all the way up until that moment, I kept thinking, why was this on everybody's radar? Like everybody was talking about it, and I'm like, is the movie really just that good? But what made people even check it out to begin with? And then all of a sudden, I started seeing, oh, it was what's the production company called? Oh,
Radio
this is so
silence.
annoying. Radio Silence. Yes. Radio Silence came up and I went, "Oh, okay. This is why." And so it's like, okay. And from that moment moving forward, I'm like, okay, well, I know who the directors are,
Yeah.
obviously. Same directors of Ready or Not, Scream 5, Scream 6, right? I think that they probably did this movie because they lost a job for Scream 7, because I think Scream 7 would have been in place of this movie instead. And they actually went and did something else because they were fired. They didn't even leave that project willingly. I don't know if you know that. They
Oh
were
no, I didn't
fired,
know they
so
were
yeah.
straight up fired.
Yeah, they recently just talked about it. So I don't know if they were under a gag order or not up until like just a couple weeks ago, but they were like, yeah, it wasn't our decision.
Wow.
So yeah, but Matt let's start
Didn't you do the
over.
same
Matt
thing the last time you
Bettinelli
mentioned his
Olpen.
name?
Hey,
I think you did the same thing you mentioned his name the last time.
maybe. I don't know. Matt Bettinelli Olpen and Tyler Gillette. And the writers are different though. Still you have Guy Busick. He is also, one of the writers of the Scream movies and Ready or Not, but you have Steven Shields, and that's a different person altogether. So swapped out one of the writers with somebody else. Who knows why? And the movie stars um several people. Obviously Melissa Barrera, who
Obviously.
was fantastic. I mean, you basically know what to expect when you get her in your movie. Dan Stevens, who I like to credit as the most recognizable person ever that I don't know.
Yeah, who the hell is Dan Stevens?
What's that?
Yeah, who the hell is Dan Stevens?
he was like the guy with the glasses,
Oh, the cool guy.
the cool guy.
Yeah.
Sure. I'm like, I know this guy, know this face, and I looked him up. I'm like, I don't know anything he's been in.
Maybe it's just that like character archetype with the slick back hair, the glasses, his
Yeah,
earrings, the demeanor.
maybe. I guess that could be true. It seems like he's British, judging by some of his roles in movies. Um, yes. Yeah, he's definitely British. Okay. So, whatever. He had me fooled. Alicia Weir, which is, you know, Abigail, the
The vampire girl,
the
the ballerina.
title character. Yeah, the
Oh, that's what you were
ballerina.
going for. I thought it just was like a
Yeah,
dance, like a ballerina.
could be. Anyway, yeah, William Catlett, Catherine Newton, Kevin Durand, who is a very interesting fellow because if people don't know, which I'm assuming, unless you're living under a rock, you do know that Deadpool and Wolverine is a movie that's coming out, right? And we are going to be doing a review of it, and Lucas has a lot to catch up on for that to happen. And one of the movies that I've like assigned for him to
Yeah,
watch
the homework.
is X-Men Origins Wolverine, and he's in that movie. And it's so funny because as soon as I saw him, I'm like, I know this guy. And I'm like, wait a minute, he's the Blob. So that's going to mean something to you in a few weeks' time. So,
Very good.
uh, yeah, so I see his face and I immediately think not Elon Musk, right? But I think, Logan goes something along the lines of like just just settle down there, bub. And he goes, did you just call me Blob?
Did you just call me Blob?
Yeah. And hopefully now after you see the movie, you see his face, you'll immediately think about that
Yeah,
too.
and not Elon Musk.
Uh Angus Cloud, rest in peace.
So how did
He
he pass
was
away?
um I don't know. I didn't look into it, but I saw that the movie ended with,
Yeah, with a
like a
memory
tribute.
of yeah,
And I didn't know who he was
same.
until we were getting prepared for this video, and drug overdose, unfortunately.
Oh,
And he was like the unprofessional criminal, right? The one that was riding around on like a tricycle and stuff
mm-hmm.
that was hitting on Catherine Newton's character.
Yep.
So yeah, that's unfortunate. And then finally, Giancarlo Esposito, um, who he's been very mean to me before. So, you know, nothing for him, but he's from Breaking Bad. He's from tons of stuff. The Mandalorian, Better Call Saul, that Far Cry 4 or whatever. He's been in tons of stuff. So yeah, you got a stacked cast. You got some very talented directors. You have some talented writers and a very interesting setting. So does it make for a successful formula? Tune in and find out. No, I don't know. I just felt like I was building it up for something like
Leave them
that.
on the edge of
And
their
so I kept
seats.
going. But yeah, so how was the movie? It was all right. All
I
right,
thought it
bye
was pretty good.
everybody. Thanks for joining.
Brent, come back. Oh God.
Oh, are we still doing this?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I definitely enjoyed the movie more than Brandon did. I'm not on the love territory. I'm on the I really enjoyed it. I like it. I'm gonna buy it when it comes out. Um it's just good to have nice universal properties that deal with vampires. I like the little throwbacks that they had in there to Dracula. Let's get ready for the actual monster extended universe that I'm ready to see. Maybe that's why I like the movie. I've been into that recently. It's kind of like starting the hype train. Maybe it's to gauge more interest in the topic. I don't know. Could be wishful thinking. But one thing I do have to say about the movie, I did not see any of the trailers. I didn't know any of the marketing other than the synopsis of the movie, the poster, and the trailer and the title, which is enough to give enough away, which is a point of contention that we're going to talk about for sure. But I have a different experience than most people did because I was like as blind could get for this movie that seems to be pretty spoiled by trailer 1 and 2, which when combined is the whole movie, basically. But overall,
Yeah.
I thought it was a fun premise. I did enjoy the cast of characters mostly. I think Abigail as a character is pretty good. I enjoyed the horror comedy violence. I think it was all evened out pretty well. I think the pacing was good. Nothing was like super standout, but it was just a nice start of the summer blockbuster, kick back, didn't take itself seriously. I enjoyed it, but I thought it was pretty good. Didn't love it, but I thought it was pretty good.
That's good. All right, thanks everybody. We'll see you next time. Yeah, I thought it was okay. I mean, Lucas seems to think that I like despise it or something, but um I didn't. I thought it was good. I don't know. I mean, actually, I could tell you exactly. If we did like the Bettinelli Olpen, Jesus Christ, I will never get that right in the first
Hmm.
go. If we do like the radio silence verse uh ranking of movies, this one would go second to last for me.
Really?
Last, of course, being
This being
Scream
Scream
6.
6.
Um,
Forcing Phantoms
yeah,
Part 112. Radio Silence
yes.
before Scream 5.
Um, yes, yes, yes. But yeah, but that doesn't mean that I disliked it though, because honestly, they are like hit makers.
Hmm.
Scream 6 was, Lucas and I feel differently about that movie than most people do. And that's the only one that I was like truly disappointed with. But other than that, they know what they're doing. They're talented filmmakers, and I look forward to what they do in the future. And yeah, I it's hard to say anything that's like not spoiler, but also it's really
At the same
easy
time,
if you have watched the trailers.
exactly, because even more so than the Blood and Honey review, which is one of my favorite reviews that I've ever edited, basically everything can be shown that we talk about in both the spoiler and the non-spoiler
Yeah,
portion of the review.
true.
Because
If
today, right
you
before
have
we,
not seen
sorry, you can say that you can talk about the trailer because I'm going to talk about the trailer right after that anyway.
Yeah, it is. It's about the trailer. If you haven't seen anything from this movie at all, I would recommend that you go away. We'll take the loss of a view
Do what
and
I did.
go
You'll
see the
be much
movie
happier.
100%. But if you have seen the trailers, then you could basically just watch the entire video, including the spoiler part of the
Yeah.
video, because there's I mean, it is a spoiler to say, but there's really no surprises if you've seen the trailers. And that is a
You know,
problem,
just like a spicy,
unfortunately.
just like a spicy senorita with her low cut shirt. You can see her thong
That's a
riding up.
spicy meatball.
She's not really leaving much to the imagination. I kind of already know what everything looks like at this point. They gave it all away. They call me Cuban Pete. I'm the king of the rumba beat. I play my maracas. They go
Chicky boo,
chick, chicky boom,
chicky
chick,
boo,
chicky boom.
chicky boo.
What a great part.
So, what about the trailers?
So I did mention that I hadn't watched the trailers. So I just watched trailer. Well, I started with trailer 2 because I figured that would be the most beneficial one to watch. And then Brandon says, "Oh no, go watch the first one." And if you bridge the gap, right, if you watch trailer 1 and trailer 2, you just watch the 6-minute version of the movie. Like it is
Yeah.
insane how it covers every beat, every major plot point, every good shot, every surprise. it's like it's the hooker on the side of the road, leaving nothing to the imagination.
Yes. There's a
Except
couple
this is
funny
much better
moments and stuff,
presentation than a hooker, but yes. Oh, the
but other
movie has
than
a
that,
a great mix of comedy and action, and I can't really say horror. I'm not really scared by anything, but it has a great balance of all of the elements.
no, it would probably fit into the horror genre anyway, though, just because of the,
Subject
massive
matter.
amount of blood and guts and stuff. It's like a splatter film, I guess you could
Okay.
say. Um, but no, what I meant was you have seen the entire movie from the trailer, except for, like some funny moments here and there and stuff.
Hmm.
But for the most part, you've seen the entire movie from those two trailers. And if you've seen TV spots, that's even more so. So,
Mm. Yeah, I didn't see any TV spots. It was just the two trailers and gave it all away.
mm,
So I mean, if the
yeah,
trailer's getting your jollies going, then go see the movie because it's what you see is what you get for sure. I mean, there's no false marketing
100%.
here.
Yeah, but don't expect much else other than what you've seen in those trailers, unfortunately. And that is a problem. Though, Lucas, I think you mentioned it already. You did not watch the trailers until today. You completely made it out unscathed. I had seen the first trailer on mute for some reason. I think it was at the beginning of I didn't pay my YouTube bill or whatever, and so I had ads for like a day. And
I
so
didn't know
it
you
ended
switched
up,
over to YouTube Premium.
oh yeah, yeah, I've had it for a while now.
Oh, very good.
Um yeah.
And can you ever go back, locking your phone, being able to do whatever going? It's the best. Love
Sometimes I do.
YouTube
If I'm
Premium.
particularly broke, I can do
Okay.
it because I have no choice. But it is annoying. Yeah, it takes a lot to get used to. But
So,
yeah, I've been subscribed to it for a long time. It's way too much money. It's like $16 a month. It's way too much. And they know that once you try it out, because they give you a little taste, right? And they know that you're gonna come back for more because you get used to it, right? They're
yeah, oh,
bastards.
I can't not have it.
Right.
Though if you do use your MacBook Pro and you have the touch bar not set to the function row like I do, because it's you don't need it. If you just have it set to like, the ability to interact with whatever's on screen and it shows like, the buffer, and then you have the you can move the marker. You can just skip through ads on YouTube with the touch bar. You just skip to the end and it
Mm,
skips the ad. I just found that out today, by the way. The more you know.
that's
So when
good to
you're
know.
so yeah, so when you're in a pinch, there you go.
I'll put that into practice. But yeah, so I saw it like before a video at some point and it was on mute or, the volume was just turned all the way down. So I saw just only part of it. And that still somehow told me everything though,
Yeah.
because you couple that with the poster for the movie and photos, and you go on IMDb, and one of the very first photos, shows Abigail, and I think I was going to wait until the spoiler portion of this video to mention this, but I don't think it matters because of how they did spoil everything. The movie it's a bit of a slow burn. Not really. I mean, you jump into the action quicker than I ever imagined. Okay. Like you're right into it, which absolutely that's fantastic. Like right into it. Like there isn't a whole lot of, lulling about. But once you get to the house, it becomes a little bit of a slow burn. And the
Hmm.
way that the movie is set up, you can tell that they were hoping people were going to see this movie not knowing that Abigail was a vampire.
How could you
Because,
not figure that out?
well,
You'd have
you
to be like
wouldn't
Helen
know though.
Keller.
So you'd have no idea because what they do is if you literally went in 100% blind, like 100%
Yeah.
blind, you would have no idea because they frame it that she's just a normal little girl, that her dad is the dangerous person because he's a
Hmm.
dangerous criminal, and that there's also a dangerous hitman that's working for the dad. That's how they frame it. And that's it. That's all you know. And it goes from there. And they spend so much time on the fact that, oh, it's a hitman coming to get us, that it told me in that moment, I'm like, oh, so they actually expected that the audience wasn't going to know what was going on here, you know?
Mm,
Because there
I
is
see
the
what you're
moment
saying
from the
now.
trailer where she goes, what's the name that they give to Melissa Barrera's character?
Joey.
Um, Joey. She's like, Joey, I'm sorry about what's going to happen to you.
Yep.
And if you know the premise of the movie, you know what that means. But the character in the movie hears that and thinks, she just told us that her father is really dangerous. You know?
Right.
And it's like, what's the point of doing all this if not for the fact that it was supposed to surprise us? You know, I don't think that these filmmakers are, that green, especially after all the movies they've made, that
So the marketing you're
they would
saying just ruined it.
expect that the wool was going to be pulled over eyes. I think it's all marketing that screwed up with this movie. And I think that's what a lot of people are complaining about. I didn't know people were complaining about it, though, until you mentioned it. But now
Yeah, I
that you
just
did
found that out
mention it,
today.
that has to be it because there's just so much of the movie. I would say a solid 30 minutes where they think that you think that there's a dangerous hitman that's coming to take care of them.
And it almost
And
treats you like you're a fucking idiot in that respect, which is where I come into the play and I think, okay, this has to be a shut your brain off, do not take it seriously kind of
yeah, no,
movie.
see, it set my alarms
Hmm.
ajar. I can't,
But my alarm's
I can't
ajar. I like it.
speak. Please take me behind the barn and just put me out of my
Right between
misery
the
because
eyes.
I don't know what's happening. Yeah, please do it. Yeah, it set my alarms ajar. And I immediately was like, oh, marketing really screwed up with this movie. This is obviously what's happening because all of this is wasted time in the movie because anybody that knows anything went into this already spoiled on this reveal, right? And
Hmm.
they treat her reveal like when she actually like changes, they treat that like a big reveal too.
What the fuck is that thing? We kidnapped a fucking vampire.
You know,
Yeah.
like they lead up to it and all this kind of stuff and it's just like we were failed. And it makes me wonder because you may or may not know, no matter how much power you have in the film industry, no matter how big of a director you are, these trailer companies are going to cut the trailer however they want.
A
And
separate third party produces the trailer. The studio
oh
doesn't
yeah,
do it.
oh yeah. So the studio signs off on it, but the director doesn't get a say.
I didn't
So
fucking know this.
yeah, it's been a point of contention for directors for like years
This
now.
explains a lot.
When there is big moments revealed in the trailer, the director often doesn't know until the trailer releases. And they're just as disappointed as you, the viewer, are. And they have no say in it.
That's fucked.
Literally no say at all. It's a company that's hired by the studio, a third party trailer company that creates these trailers. You know, they're that's their job is just edit these trailers. They do it, by the tens or hundreds or whatever. There's a few different companies that do it,
Hmm.
but yeah, they have like complete control, carte blanche, you may say, to do whatever they want. They can pull from any part of the movie that they want to throw in to the trailer. And
God, I feel
there's
like
times where they really
you had
screw up.
you have to have some creative control and some parameter to be set with. I mean, that's bad.
Hmm. It's terrible. And when you come into like a company like Disney, for instance, the studio will step in and they have control of it. Like for instance, when I can't remember if it was the Infinity War trailer or if it was the Endgame trailer. It must have been Infinity War, but they show the gauntlet on Thanos's like arm and it
Hmm.
has no stones in it because they wanted to change it so you did not know what stones he had already obtained by that point in the movie. So they'll do little things like that. Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, erased Spider-Mans from scenes, like they altered it like that. So, reveals could actually be had by the
Sure.
person in the theater. But outside of a really powerful company like Disney, stuff gets out. And I am willing to bet that this is one of those instances where the directors were so crushed
The
over this.
entirety. I mean, I gotta think of one of the last. You remember we talked about it, and you were there when we saw Halloween Ends, and how much I love that opening for that movie. How it took balls, and how that was so out of left field. If
Yeah.
if this company that made the trailer for Halloween Ends was that made Abigail, whatever, it would start off with Jeremy falling. It would start off with the fall, and then it would show the parents gasping, and then it would show Corey like on his bike. You know what I mean? Like it would have
All of
the
a sudden
whole
it pauses. There's a Corey narration where he's like, I bet you wonder how we got here. Let's start it off 5 hours earlier, and all of a sudden it rewinds back. And he shows up at the house. Like, hey.
for sure.
And then the title sequence starts where you're like, how could this have happened?
And this
It actually
is
would have
how
been
it
kind of a
ends.
cool opening.
Halloween ends.
Yeah, that would be funny if they're like, and this is all how it ends. Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. I like
Yeah.
that. That would be a completely different kind of movie going experience, but that would be hilarious.
And say what you will about
Uh,
Halloween Ends, at least most of the gratuity and big points weren't spoiled in the trailer, other than the main premise of the movie. So
Yeah.
something to be
Yeah.
said.
Yeah, and that is a good instance actually as well. And it makes sense too because it is Universal that they were dealing with in those situations, just like
Mhm.
this movie. David Gordon Green had no control over what ended up in those trailers at all. So, there was times where certain moments were, spoiled or whatever, and they would ask him about it, and he was like, it was out of my control. It wasn't for ends really, but maybe a cool scene from Kills or whatever. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, but it happens, and it's just one of those things. If you want to play in the industry, one of those
Yeah.
things that you just have to deal with. But even if they were disappointed by what happened, though, I guarantee you they won't talk about it because there's so many contracts that
I
are
was gonna say they're
signed.
under
And
contract.
yeah, if you want to play a game, play ball, play. Oh my God. If you want to play ball with
Oh,
Universal and work with them again, you're not going to say anything. So, yeah.
exactly. So basically, I think the point where we're at in the review is I think we can talk about spoilers at this point.
Probably. Before we
This
transition, though,
yes,
let the people know, the ones that, are going to go, okay, fine. I am going to go see the movie. I'm going to come back after I see the movie. What is your score for this movie?
7.5, pretty solid.
Okay.
I
That's
think
good.
if it had kept the reveals in there, I mean, this movie could have been a solid 8.5 for sure, like a super fun blockbuster time.
Yeah.
But giving away all those tropes just to get asses in seats, it wasn't worth it. But I mean, just the experience that I had not seeing the trailers, only knowing the synopsis that was on the AMC app, and then knowing that she is a vampire, knowing that it is Universal, knowing that there is going to be some callbacks to classic, Dracula type things. I still enjoyed it for what it was worth. I did have a fun time, and I would recommend going to see it still.
Sure.
But again, shut the
Yeah.
brain off though. Really shut it off.
Imagine how blown away you would have been, though, if you didn't know that she was a vampire.
I would have loved it.
Like, if they framed the entire movie like it was just a heist
Yep.
kidnapping movie. Think about that.
It would have been like a 9 out of 10 without even
Yeah.
changing anything in the movie.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe you can alter the ending slightly, but even keep it. I might even keep it as a 9.
Whatever. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because if you were to ask me what my rating was for like the first half of this movie, I probably would have been like, I don't know, like 8 out of 10. Like it's super enjoyable. The cast is fantastic. The
Yes, it
writing
is.
is superb. The chemistry between the whole cast is great. You have so many fun moments, you have funny moments, you have some suspenseful moments. And I don't know whether it was special effects or visual effects when it came to a lot of the gore, but the gore effects were great. Um, and there's not a whole lot of surprises, but still it's a really good time. The movie, however, takes what I would describe as a hard left turn when you start getting to that midway point till, maybe just the third act, and it becomes a little bit of a different movie. It goes from being more of like you know, haunted house type of movie
Kind of like a
into like
mystery.
full-blown 80s cheesiness. That's how I would sort of describe it. So both of those types of movies have their fans. I don't know if there's a lot of overlap though from one into the next category, because there is some performances from actors that are very subtle for the first two-thirds of the movie that then go up to 11 for that last act. And,
Sure,
they're
I can
playing
agree with you
these
on that.
characters really big. And, it's sort of like, you're like, okay, are they going to actually go there? Oh, they went there. Okay, great. Um, and again, it maybe just not like necessarily my cup of tea, that last part of the movie. So I don't know. So it went from an 8 out of 10 to like 6.5 out of 10. That's what I would give it.
Okay.
So it lost a point and a half in that interval there, but that doesn't mean that I like walked away disappointed or anything. I was much more disappointed by the state of the restroom. Um Much more so than I ever would have been by the
Yeah.
movie. But yeah. Um
So I did want to draw this comparison because it's universal. Okay. Let's group this movie with two others and we'll put them in like a little triangle here. So this movie to me is almost like a weird amalgamation of Violent Night and aspects of Renfield. Okay. It's like you put aspects of both those movies together
mm,
and then you get this. Because Violent Night I really enjoy. Renfield's a piece of fucking shit. This movie I really enjoyed. And I just could not help but to draw the universal connection with it. But these all fit within that same kind of wheelhouse. And if they can perfect it more, a la these fucking trailers, the trailers for those other two movies gave everything away too. They do have
yep.
some good stuff going for Universal. And again, I can't help but to think that this is like them dabbling in the monsters again to see if it has interest. Maybe get like a comedy thing and then go full out.
I don't know because they already have their entire plan of what they're doing with their universe, which
Yeah,
was
we've been talking
formerly known
about
as
it.
the Dark Universe. And obviously we know Wolfman is shooting right now. And I just saw an article yesterday that was talking about the Invisible Man too. So,
Ooh,
yes. So, I don't know if they're like, oh, are people interested? Maybe. I mean, maybe I just am naive to it or whatever, but I think that they do know that people are. But that's a good call. That's very interesting because
thank
you
you.
have the Violent Night aspect, which is that it takes place pretty much all at one location. And then you have
And
the
then yeah, you have the innocent
Renfield
family.
thing.
The roles are kind of reversed, I guess, where like the people participating in the heist kind of hijack the place, but it's similar enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Similar in the definitely the fact it's a large mansion that shit's going down in.
Hmm.
Um, Not really a change from that. And then with the Renfield thing, obviously that's just
Speaks for
super,
itself.
yeah, it speaks for itself. So um, you know,
Yeah, it's almost like they kind of learned from those other ones and improved upon it. So I couldn't help but to give it more props than that. But again, it's the fucking marketing that just ruined it for this. Like, you gotta keep that hidden. This movie could have easily been a 9, could have been an A minus, could have really get into that good, really good territory.
Yeah. 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 I don't know. I don't know. Part of me wonders too, like, how much more is there to really tell about vampires? Like, is there that much more that they can
You know,
like
I guess
do
all
with that
throughout,
genre?
you know, the decades of horror, it really is the most universal, it seems.
So obviously we're into the spoiler part of the video now. We can officially,
Yeah.
put that clapboard down. And I can finally ask what I've been dying to ask this entire time because I'm so confused. So it starts off with the ballet recital, right? Or maybe it's not a recital, but whatever, a ballet.
Probably performance, whatever. Abigail doing her
Whatever.
thing.
Nobody's in the audience except for one person. But yeah, she's doing the ballet, Swan Lake, whatever. And you do see that the character of Joey is in the audience, right? She's there, she has her candy, she's like watching, and all of a sudden then the car pulls up and she gets into the car and whatever, right?
Hmm.
And then they go and they show up at the house. Like all of this was a lot of fun. It was very cool. And they show up at the house and they get in there and they're like, "Oh, Tiny Dancer, it just left the building. She's on her way home. Tiny Dancer just arrived home, whatever." And they're in her room and Melissa Barrera, Joey, whatever. Did they ever say what her real name was? I
I
don't
don't remember. I don't
remember.
think so.
um she's like, wait, it's a kid? Nobody said it was a kid.
Wait, where were you?
Didn't Weren't you just watching her perform ballet?
You know, we
What do you
said the character
mean?
read the script. This time she didn't read the script.
Like that, I wanted to stand up in the theater and go, what? Like, did I miss something? Like, what?
Yeah,
And it's like, and then I started to think about it even more, and I'm like, nobody said it was a kid. You knew it was an abduction, kidnapping. Did you think you were going to be kidnapping an adult? And if so, why?
yeah. I guess
You know?
kidnapping really does seem reserved for like the younger. I more like an abduction if you're
Yeah.
older. I don't know. Arguing the
It
semantic
does.
game,
That
as we
is
like
when
to
it
say.
becomes an abduction, yes. But also it's just like, did you really think that you're going to be taking, like, she must have known what this job entailed, right? And who did they think they were going to be stealing? An old lady? Like,
Right?
I don't know. It just, that whole part seemed sort of weird to me. And it sort of took me out of it, even though it's such a stupid little detail. I was like, what?
Sure. Stupid
So,
detail.
that's always like, you know, not the greatest sign when you're pulled out of the movie so quickly, but I got back into it. And yeah, like I said, the group of people are, you know, they play off each other extremely well. They're
Yeah, they do seem
fun.
like they had a nice sense of camaraderie together. I mean,
Yeah, almost all of them have a very specific personality.
and it all gels together
Um,
well. They seem like they
yeah,
were having fun while making it, and it does come across, you
for
know.
sure. And I forgot to check into this and see if it was true or not, but I felt like it was a Canadian production because that it gave me Canadian vibes because of some of the actors that were in it. Again, I think that, X-Men Origins Wolverine shot at least partially in Canada as well, and that actor showed up in it. That's the only other time I've ever seen that actor in something. So
Hmm.
that tends to be like a,
A Canadian
little
case.
hint. just like the entire cast of Scary Movie. Anna Faris aside, they're all Canadian actors. Anna
Is it
Faris
really
and
Anna Faris, not Anna Faris?
Mhm.
Never knew that.
Yeah, there's has the double N in it. If it was Anna, it would just be A-N-A.
I've known girls named Anna that spelled them Anna.
I find that wholly unacceptable.
Very interesting. I'm gonna go watch
Yeah,
an interview with Anna Faris.
yeah. It is Anna Faris though.
Anna Faris.
Yeah. So the cast of Scary Movie, for the most part, they're Canadian actors. So it's like if you see them pop up in other movies, then you know it's probably Canadian production, and that goes for other things as well. Not that that matters, but I just thought it was
Sure.
fun. Um, but yeah, I will say that it gave me with the locking in, you know, the windows locking down and the fact that the
What
door
the
was
fuck?
locked and all that kind of stuff. It had like a gate in front of it. That was the one thing that surprised me. That was the one thing I did not know about this movie was that they're going to be locked in the house. And it was like House on Haunted Hill, right?
Hmm.
Like a classic fun sort of haunted house trope, even though it's not technically a haunted house movie. That is basically the genre that it goes into. And yeah, I like that. And then yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what else to talk about. So
Yeah, you know what? I don't really know what else to talk about with the movie either, other than if you like the trailer, you'll like the movie. It's entertaining. I guess I could say
yeah.
I do enjoy their little take design on the vampires. I do like how the bottom of their face kind of elongates a little bit. You get a little wider here. It comes more to a point. I do like the way the fangs look. It just gives me in a silhouette perspective, kind of like that
Mm-hmm.
Nosferatu Orlok vibe, and it's just a nice throwback. Instead of going with like I don't know,
There's
what else
two
would you go with?
fangs.
Yeah, just two fangs, Dracula look or something.
It seems
Twilight.
to
We could have went
be
Twilight.
seems to be the thing that they're doing these days because Dracula, Nick Cage and Renfield, he
Yeah, it
had the
has.
same type of teeth,
Hmm.
which was kind of weird to me, but
Though it didn't seem that they used prosthetics on the face because when Catherine Newton became a vampire, her bottom half of the face looked completely different also. It looked like it was a mix of CG and prosthetics.
okay.
But it still had that basic silhouette of bigger up top, elongated on bottom, bigger teeth. So
Hmm.
I can get down with the design. I thought it was cool. Though it didn't really completely follow through with the father because he again looked like the hook-handed man with just fangs. So I digress, but at least
Yeah,
Catherine Newton and Abigail look pretty good. And then I did like the
sure.
design for whatever his name was when he became a vampire. All of his scenes as a vampire were great. In fact, besides, Abigail, great performance. That guy was probably my favorite character of that movie, next to the musclehead that looked like Elon Musk. Those two were pretty funny.
Elon Muskles.
Elon Muskles.
Um, yeah, it's interesting. Dan Stevens, the guy, like I said, he has
Yeah,
the
and
most
X-Men Wolverine
recognizable
Origins.
face of somebody I don't know. Um, yeah, he was fine. It just became a different movie, you know? It became like a 80s cheese fest, right? Where it's like it's
Yeah.
all about going really big and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised it wasn't like Christoph. I don't know why I said Christoph, but I'm gonna run with it. Why wasn't it Christoph Waltz or Waltz that was the father at the end, or what I was actually going for, Christopher Walken? Like I
Oh,
could
that'd be funny.
picture that being like that kind of thing where the movie was headed. And by the way, I have to say this. So this was something that kind of bothered me more so after the fact. Abigail is the father's like hitman bodyguard, right? Why? You know, that if he is also a vampire, then why?
I don't know.
Exactly. You
I have
know,
no
like
idea.
it almost leads you into thinking like, oh, he's normal and she's not, even though obviously there was no way the movie was going to go in that way, but it's like, why, because it's like, oh, the story of all the guys that were at the top of the hotel, the only way in was the
Hmm.
door with guards and the window, and they were all decapitated inside the room. He has this really awful hitman that works for him, scary as shit. And then they're like, oh, that's Abigail. And it's like, but he could do it all himself. Like the father could do it all himself, right?
Well, he's all off doing his own thing. He doesn't spend enough time with his daughter. It's only when it's convenient. Like they had that whole
Right.
speech at the end, with back and forth with
Yeah,
them together. So
that's true, I guess. I don't know. When they had his reveal at the end, I really thought it was going to be something because they like start the way they reveal him. We were talking about this before we started recording, just the fact that it starts like at his feet and then goes up
with
and
such grandiosity.
yeah, and then I'm like, wait a minute, who is that? For a second, I thought it was the guy from Mindhunter, who also played Agent Smith in the most recent Matrix movie.
Hmm, no idea.
Some Jonathan Groff, I think. First I thought it was him, and I'm like, oh, it's not, but it kind of looked like him. Yeah, yeah. And then Giancarlo Esposito. I mean, you hire him, he's good at what he does. He was what was his name? Lambert, the guy that actually was there waiting for them at the house when they
Hmm.
arrived and then was surveilling them on the cameras. Um yeah, we should probably bring this to an end, I think, because unless there's anything else that sticks out to you to mention.
This has been an interesting review of marketing criticisms, uh, how trailers are actually made, and how opposite of beneficial they are, how detrimental they're starting to become with movies. Um, and this is, I swear to God, what you said at the beginning of the video just reigns true that this whole damn thing can either be a spoiler free, spoiler, non spoiler, whatever. Like, there was nothing hidden in this movie. I don't know, man. This is the strangest
Mm-mm.
review we've ever done. I feel like we say that
Yeah.
every time, but this one just takes the cake.
It's interesting because it's truly, all joking aside, um, there's not a whole lot to say about the movie. You know,
It's just a
be
fun, entertaining, you know what you're getting. No
right.
catfishing involved here.
You know exactly what you're getting, and in too many ways, perhaps, right? And so to fill the time and the space, you just come up with other things to talk about. So, like it pertaining to the movie, but you know, just
Hmm.
I don't know.
It's hard to like review this movie with linearity because it's just you got to bring up so many other factors. Does that make
That's a
sense?
much better way of saying what I was trying to say. Yeah. Um, exactly right. To like stay on that path. I
Hmm.
don't know. It also hurts me a little bit that I did not watch any reviews of this. So I'm like, I don't even know what it's being talked about. I don't know what the negatives are. I don't know what the positives are. I just don't know anything. So I don't know. But yeah, so I will point out Alicia Weir though. I was a little harsh on her, I guess I would say, when we weren't recording, or we were, but it's not in the episode. Um, because that is a lot to ask of a younger
I
actor,
thought she did a good
all
job. She
that
was
kind of
convincing.
stuff.
If you were to drop the act that you pretend you don't know, right? I would say she is convincing, does a much better job than Baby Leia. And when she had
Oh
to be
God.
scary, when she had to be scary, I could see some of the
Yeah.
fright factor there,
Yeah.
and she had a
I thought
great. I was gonna say
there was like
she had a great. Sorry, continue.
it's like phone tag or something.
Yeah.
I thought that there was some times where like her delivery of lines were a little bit weird, but I'm now seeing she's Irish. So
Oh well,
I
that even
take
changes
back
the game
that
a bit more.
statement.
Then,
Yeah, I take back
and
my statement
your
because
favorite accent of all time, Irish.
it is my favorite. This little kid, I tell you.
Horrible.
It seems to be what you were going for there. Anyway, don't arrest me. Obviously, I'm joking. This is a child. that was born in 2009. But anyway, Lucas's favorite year.
Yes.
And my point is, though, not so much the fact that I love the Irish accent, which I do. The point is that she has to work against that as well. And I got no hint that she was not, American or
Yeah, and
whatever,
she even
you
had
know?
like facial and like teeth prosthetics
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
Take our boy Lyndon Porco. I mean, he had to he had to go through all that.
Yeah.
Something similar. I
Exactly
don't know.
right. So,
Same, only different.
yeah, I could see where this would be, I don't know if it has legs to be a franchise, but I could see a sequel, coming out of it.
I agree 100%. 100%.
You
I was
just
gonna say
have
something similar, but I neglected to mention it.
you just have these two team up, you know,
Hmm.
something like that. So yeah. And they were the two best ones in the movie anyway, so
For sure.
yeah. I don't know. Now let's go through Melissa Barrera's IMDb list. I've seen that one. No, I'm kidding, obviously. But thanks for joining us, everybody. We appreciate it. What do you think about my hyper realistic drawing of Abigail over here?
Also, Brandon,
And
turn your head back over to the whatever direction you were just looking. Other direction. What's that red mark on your neck? Were you bitten by a vampirus?
I don't think so. Let me check. Oh yeah, look at that. That's weird. That happens sometimes with me. My skin for some reason. I don't know why. Um, that certainly would explain why I'm like 74, but I look like I'm in my early 20s
Yeah, so Brandon and I
or
are
younger.
vampires. We're total night owls. We don't like the sun. Well, I don't like the sun. Uh,
It, turn- it turns out I was fit.
I mean, they look good until they fall out.
Oh yeah. Anyway, on that note, thanks for joining us,
Yeah,
everybody.
so everybody, what did you think of the movie? What did you think of the trailer?
Yeah, good God. Pretty
And
much
what do you
whatever you
think
think of the
about?
movie is probably what you think of the trailer,
Mm-hmm. Facts.
logistically speaking. But yeah, comment below, let us know what were some of your favorite parts in the movie. Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? If you did enjoy it, let us know why. And are you interested in seeing a sequel? Let us know.
You know
What
what?
adventures could they go on?
I think they can just leave it as it is. I just
I
prefer it to
mean,
be that.
of course, but that's no longer an option these days.
Yeah, of course
What are
not.
you thinking? Um, yeah. And then also, one last time, as I look up the gentleman's name, rest in peace, Angus Cloud.
Rest in peace. You did a fantastic job.
Yes. He also looked familiar to me too. So many of these
They
people
all
just
did.
look familiar to me. I know it's very
It's like
weird.
you've seen the guy somewhere.
Yeah, probably have. Let's look at his IMDb.
Bye,
All right, bye everybody.
everybody.